It's our second edition of Beyond the Bylines with myself, Tim Benz, and Joe Starkey here at Trib Live. For some reason, they brought us back for a second run. Joe, clearly the highlight of our first endeavor was when the closed captioning tried to spell the word incrinculant last week. I thought that was by far and away the highlight.
That was pretty good. I can't figure out the computer situation. Why am I looking down? Why am I lower than you? Why is there glare on my glasses? I came prepared. I have the computer sitting on a huge box of potato chips so that it doesn't shake this week. It's just, there's the Civic Arena.
Yes,
that's what I wanted.
In the background. It's more Civic Arena than you right now, but
now I'm disappearing. I'm low. Look at me. I just got lower.
Well, I think part of it is the couch, Morty. I mean, like, you got up to get a drink, and I looked at that couch, and it's like inverted into a V. That's a very well-worn couch. You might need a new couch. That might be the problem.
This is a brand new couch that I spent a bunch of money on.
And brand new?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it looks very, like, comfy and soft then. You're kind of sinking into the couch. That might be part of the problem.
Well, last week, it looked like my eyes were closed. This week, it looks like I'm staring straight down. Just start talking. Should I take off my glasses?
Like, you don't need to see anything but me, and you don't even really need to see me. You could do this blind if you needed to. A blind like a mole.
I felt like I looked better, healthier last week. This week, I look horrible. Look at this.
Well, you're probably up and ready to go because you're going out to Monroeville. You going to Monroeville again today?
No, not today.
So you're walking to work. I can't believe you walked to work in the snowstorm.
That was actually nice. Very peaceful. Nobody on Green Tree Road. It's usually tons of traffic. And this week during the storm, it was great. It's a mile and a half. It took 1 hour.
So who was expecting, from a Steeler point of view, Jay Glazer to be the star of Super Bowl week? Like, first he drops all these nuggets about Mike Tomlin, and then today he says about Aaron Rodgers, screw him, because he's mad that Aaron Rodgers never got back in touch with him during this entire season, I guess, after he worked out with them the entire offseason leading up to it. So I guess that's the way it works with Glazer. You get in the boxing ring with him, you go a few rounds, and then you're beholden to give him information whenever he needs it throughout the rest of the regular season.
Well, tell me more about the screw him. I just saw like vague social media references to this.
He said that because he was asked on a Yahoo hit. He was with Yahoo at Super Bowl week on Radio Row.
Yeah.
And they asked him about whether or not Rodgers was going to come back. And he said he really didn't know. He's feeling better about Mike McCarthy now than when he left McCarthy. That absence makes the heart grow fonder, is what he said. He's appreciating McCarthy more now. But his exact quote was, I don't know how he's going to wake up on a Monday or a Tuesday. You never know with Aaron. I worked out with him all off season, and then I never heard from him the entire regular season but one time, so screw him. That's exactly what he said.
Well, who cares? In the end, is he coming here or isn't he? I mean, Jay Glazer really tells Tomlin's stories. Like the thing about how Tomlin was covering up, all these things with the Steelers that they do wrong. You saw that Glazer thing, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
That's Tomlin talking, is it not?
Absolutely it is. Absolutely.
I want to get my Washington Wizards. There we go. We just acquired Anthony Davis, I might add.
I thought Golden State was we for you.
They are, but I'm originally a Wizards fan.
I like the thing that was going around from Super 70s Sports yesterday. It was a picture of Magic, Kareem, Larry Bird, Michael Cooper, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and they're all about to fight during one game of the finals. And the picture just said, every person in this photo is in the Hall of Fame and they're about to fight. And that was basketball back then, and I loved it. That's when the NBA was at its peak.
People don't even realize what that was like. It was legit fights, punches thrown, and guys would stay in the game.
Yes,
it was
all
incredible.
The time. Yeah, it was almost like hockey. You could expect almost to fight a game.
It was awesome.
Did you watch Tampa and Florida last night, by the way?
No.
Oh, that was just, yeah. Well, I didn't. I saw the highlights of the fight. They had another meltdown fight like they often do.
What about the goalie fight in the winter game or the outdoor game?
Yeah, I mean, like, they don't fight if that's not the outdoor game, right? They're putting on a show. That was for show.
For sure. I loved it though. Nothing, although it wasn't a great goalie fight, but just to see the goalies get into it and skate down the ice is good. It's good entertainment.
You
I
ever
love it.
Did Barrasso ever get into a fight with anybody besides you and Madden?
No, but who did the wraparound on him? Somebody did a wraparound goal in Phoenix one time, and it was like a milestone goal. And he said after the game, if that guy ever tries that on me again, I'll break his neck. He also challenged me to go out and try to score on him at South Point because he didn't like that I had written that he has more baggage than a fleet of UPS carriers. So he said, why don't you come out here and try and score on me, Starkey? And I said, no, thank you. But in my mind, I wanted to say to him, and this may have caused an incident, yeah, I'll go out and take a shot from center ice like Tom Fitzgerald, and maybe I'll score like him too.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty good chirp back to him for sure. Was that towards the end? Was that like when Garth Snow was around? It was like
it was getting
end
there. No, it was when he was intimidating J.S. Auben. Poor little Seabass.
Oh, a little Seabass. Yeah, he's still around. He still does a lot of alumni work for the team now.
Yeah, I saw him at Shadow
He's a good
Lakes.
guy.
Yeah, Shadow Lakes, of course, out there. By the way, I feel compelled, speaking of the Penguins, to offer best wishes to Craig Patrick out there.
Yeah.
I just saw that story. Well, actually, I saw it last night, mentioned on the broadcast, but I saw the story today by Josh Yohe that he had a stroke, apparently is going home soon. And I just wanted to say best wishes to Craig. Spent a lot of time around him when I was covering the Penguins back in the 90s.
I have my Lake Placid hat on. Did you see the documentary?
No, but everybody's been talking about it, and I will see it probably this weekend.
It's
I
excellent.
can't get enough of the 80 Olympic team.
No, the guys, there is a lot from Craig. One thing I do like about this is it isn't just like Eruzione and Craig, both guys who I've met and liked very much, but it's the other guys too. Excuse me. I made the mistake of eating one of these Belvita bars, and they are grinding up in my throat right now. They're disintegrating in my throat right now. Don't do that. Just go with coffee or whatever it was you snuck out at the last second to get. Are you still somebody that gets like really liquidated on coffee and like you can't have more than a certain amount of caffeine and then you melt down? You are still that person? Okay.
Both first part not true, second part still true, which is why I avoid coffee. I was just telling the counter person at Uptown Coffee last night, thank God I've quit caffeine. And she said, we have good decaf. I said, that's just a gateway drug back into caffeine.
It is.
When I'm on caffeine, I love the buzz, Tim, but the anxiety, the stomach problems leads to lots of sweets eating. It's really a bad drug for me, caffeine. You don't want to see me on caffeine. I've bought new cars. We went and did a show like 10 years ago. I forget which dealer. And I was so stoned on caffeine that I just decided to buy a new car. And I went like $10,000 in debt with the down payment for no reason other than caffeine. I was on a caffeine bender.
And that's how you wound up with an Elon truck, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I think it was a K car.
But anyway, look, watch the documentary, folks. If you haven't seen it yet, it's definitely worth it. I'm with you. I always got along with Craig. I always enjoy talking to him, whether it's about the 1980 team or I've done a lot of pieces on the 90s Penguins where he's been very helpful in talking about that. I actually brought something up this past week with Mark. I can get your thoughts on it too. Since we just had the 2016 last weekend, we had the team back, and we will again next year for 2017. For as much as I think I'm emotionally attached to that team from the 1990s because they were first and they won the 3 cups and they won the 2 cups and probably should have won a third. There were 3 won by the Sid era team. They went to another final on top of that. It feels odd to say that, but that was probably the better era of Penguins hockey, the more recent era than the 90s, even though the 90s had Mario, who's the most influential player, and it happened first. Like, I feel like it's kind of like the 70s Steelers, the first era of the franchise that is great. You remember it more fondly, but the most recent era, I think for the Penguins, you got to look at the difference in the winning.
That's an interesting question because the winning was spread out with this era of the Penguins, mixed with many years of disappointment. So, but overall, yeah, you get one more cup. Plus, you went to a final and lost. It's the more successful era. But it felt like the first one, even though I wasn't covering that, I was taking parking tickets over at Chatham Center parking garage while the games were going on. I was working in the garage. That to me was more of a, what's the word, sort of landmark, revolutionary, groundbreaking, city changing explosion than what this era of the Penguins did. You know what I mean? It was all
No, I do. It's
sort
kind
of
of like the 70s Steelers versus the 90s or the 2000s.
right. Exactly. And
It was the foundation for the entire platform of the franchise to succeed.
For the second week in a row, you're condensing the things I'm trying to say into fewer words. I should have you write my columns. I'll give you my thoughts. You write it in fewer words. Seriously, that's what I meant to say. It was wild. I mean, it was hockey in Pittsburgh. It was all these characters. It was different than what this has been, but this has been phenomenal, and apparently it's still going on. That's the amazing part.
They won yesterday. They stopped that slide they were on. They managed to beat Buffalo, who's been pretty hot of late. They just plug Avery Hayes in. He goes out and gets a couple goals.
Yeah.
Other guys are banged up or sick or whatever.
You remember Avery Shriver from those Doritos commercials all those years ago?
Avery Shriver was.
I may have even outaged you on him.
No,
forget it.
I thought you were talking about the
he had a giant mustache. He was nicer than Jerry DePaula. I don't know how else to explain it. He was on Doritos commercials. I don't know if anybody my age is even watching. Let's move on.
No, I know this. I remember the hot girl from the Doritos commercials from the Super Bowl. I can't remember her name right now, but I remember her taking over Super Bowl Sunday with an ad a couple times.
Yeah. You going to watch Bad Bunny this Sunday with interest?
No, I'm not. I don't watch I can't remember the last Super Bowl halftime show I watched with interest. Might have been Springsteen, the Super Bowl I was there.
Was that Super Bowl 40?
No, that was 43. And I remember not watching it all that much because I had to do a ton of work at halftime with the national network after the long James Harrison Super Bowl interception return.
That's right.
And then I got locked out of the stadium because I had to go and file stuff at halftime, and I couldn't figure out a way to get back in the stadium. I almost missed the second half, which is why I was late getting on the field in the third quarter, which is why I wound up in the end zone when Santonio Holmes caught the football right in front of me.
Right. Those kinds of accidents lead to great moments in sports history. I'll tell you another one. I did a story once on the advent of instant replay, which not the officiating stuff. Actual instant replay started in an Army-Navy game a million years ago. CBS did it. And to make a long story longer, I talked to the producer, Tony Verna, and he said the famous shot of Bart Starr in the Ice Bowl going over on the quarterback sneak was the result of a guy in the end zone who was supposed to be panning out to the receiver to in case it was a pass at the last second. His camera froze. That's why you got that shot.
That's what they call it, a freeze frame.
Very nice. Very nice.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's probably not. But I've been thinking a lot about Super Bowls past. I actually wrote because this is the anniversary this year, the 20th anniversary of the game in Detroit. Willie Parker's touchdown run. I wrote about that this week, where I actually spent a lot more time talking to the guys who blocked for it, who set it up. That will go down as the most perfectly blocked run in the history of the sport, I think.
Yes, it will. And this is not any attempt to one-up. I feel like I'm trying to one-up you early in the show. You're sparking memories for me, and I'm adding stories to what you're saying. Is that clear and understood?
It is.
Okay. So I sat down with Ken Wisenhunt, the designer of that play, a month after the Super Bowl, and he brought me back into the Steelers film room, the only time I've ever been there. And we went over the play piece by piece by piece by piece, and it was perfectly blocked. And I don't know if your research jibes with this, but as I recall, Willie Parker still had to beat one guy.
Michael Boulware.
Yes. Other than that, it was everybody made a perfect block. Faneca's block is legendary. And then it was Willie Parker against Boulware, one cut, goodbye.
Yeah, it was Jeff Hardings turned his guy Darby the right way. Hines had a really good block on the edge against Andre Dyson.
Now you're one-upping me.
Kendall Simmons made a block. Max Starks blocked Lofa Tatupu twice. Faneca wiped out a guy. And Marvell Smith on the left side got in the way of Grant Wistrom and did this a couple times. That was his job on the backside. And Parker just took off the rest of the way and just ran by everybody for a touchdown. My favorite thing about that Super Bowl, though, Joe,
Yeah.
obviously I remember Santonio with the catch right in front of my face in Super Bowl 43. That'll be the greatest memory for me whenever I die and leave this mortal coil. The last thing flashing through my head should probably be that for my career. But
Sure.
for as much as I remember and cherish being in the stadium, growing up rooting for the team, being a fan in the 90s, all the close but no cigar games, then getting to cover Super Bowl 40 was super cool. The thing that I remember the most about Super Bowl 40, though, as we approach the actual Super Bowl game, which we'll talk about in a minute here, was the drive home. Like, that sticks in my head more than anything. Were we in the car? I can't remember who I was with. I might have been with you. I think I was with Jerry. Sort of a mix between guys from 1250 and the Trib. We were driving back together from Detroit, and it was like rush hour from Detroit to Pittsburgh the whole way back. The entire city was going back to Pittsburgh at once on the Ohio Turnpike. You still had toll booths back then. You had to slow down at the toll booths. Every time you got to a rest stop, guys were filing their stories. I remember we had to go to the bathroom because it was a couple times because it was taking so long. We needed a break for lunch. Like usually Detroit's 4.5, 5 hours, something like that.
Right. It was a parade. Yeah.
It took like 6.5 hours to get home because it was like going through the Fort Pitt Tunnel the whole way. The entire city. I had an appreciation for this while I was in Detroit because every time I was doing a live show or just going out to eat, you saw somebody you played softball with. I was like, oh, I used to date that girl. Hey, she still looks good. You're like, I think
right.
There's my old neighbor who used to live in the building. It was nonstop. Everywhere you turned, you saw somebody you knew from Pittsburgh the entire week. It was like Pittsburgh went on vacation.
It was incredible. I'll never forget walking in that stadium that day, and it was a home game. It was an absolute home game. Weren't the Rolling Stones the halftime entertainment that year?
I think you might be right.
I have a vague memory of Keith Richards and marveling that he was still alive. He looked like a walking dead person, but he was talking. It was amazing. Here's what else I remember. Did you sit in the auxiliary seating in the crowd or up in the
end zone? Yeah.
Yeah, I sat more toward midfield. And Dan Rooney was right near me right before the game when it was going crazy. And I said, do you get nervous? Are you nervous? And he said, no. That always, for some reason, just stood out to me. He was very calm in the moments before the game. And, man, everything was just memorable about that day. And then Detroit became the epicenter of Penguin championships.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of good things for Pittsburgh happened in Detroit. Detroit gets a bad rap. I mean, anybody in Pittsburgh should just go to Detroit and consider it hallowed ground. Like we were talking about Lake Placid before. If you've never been to Lake Placid and you walk around Lake Placid, you feel it. It feels like hallowed ground. You see the high school in the background where the skating rink is, where Eric Heiden won all the gold medals.
Yeah.
Like, literally, there's a high school there. I'll tell you this last quick story, and then we'll get to our other kind of our trib treats and our nuggets. All right, Joe?
No, I have another story, too, after you. I want to try.
You want to one-up me one more time? So I went back to Lake Placid. My wife, for my 50th birthday, got me ice time on the Herb Brooks rink. We got to skate on the Herb Brooks rink. That was my 50th birthday.
I cannot one-up that.
So that no, she'll never get one-upped on that one. That was, and I'll never do as good of a job for her birthdays. But the night before, we went out to eat, and there was a girl who was our waitress who was a student at that Lake Placid High School. It's still an open actual high school. And we were talking. She plays hockey. She's a hockey player. She's a women's goaltender. I can't remember, Niagara or something like that. She's out, she's in her early 30s now. But she said our claim to fame in that high school was we're the only high school in the state of New York to ever have a liquor license because the math rooms got turned into a bar for the media. That's where you could get beer after you covered the games. You could just go into the high school math rooms and start drinking beer after you covered Sweden versus U.S. in game one in the 2-2 tie.
I was doing that anyway.
Had a liquor license there.
I was doing that anyway in high school. That's incredible. I can't one up that one either. But it was 3 years later. that we were watching the Penguins win a Stanley Cup in that same city of all cities, Detroit. There they were. And I remember so much about that too, but mostly game one of that series, the drive up there with, did you hear that little ding?
No.
Good. It's from my computer.
But I'm glad you brought attention to it anyway.
The drive up there with Rob Rossi, Trish Lafferty, Karen Price, maybe, I can't remember.
Rachel.
Yeah, I started feeling stomach something. And then we got to the Omni or whatever it was. And within hours, I was having more blowouts than the 07 Patriots. And it's the only sporting event that I ever missed because of sickness. The only big one, I'll say, because of sickness was game one of the 09 finals, because I was having more blowouts than the 1960 World Series.
Well, that one didn't turn into a blowout, but they didn't have much of a chance. Was that like 4-1 or 3-1? Fleury gave up a couple goals, and then Detroit just sat on it. So
yeah, and then they went up 2-0, and then the Penguins stormed back to win the cup. Do you know who predicted that among the media, that they would come back and win?
Rachel.
Rob Rossi.
The dear Rob Rossi, Trib alumnus Rob Rossi. Let's get to our Trib treats, Joe. I already gave one of mine, which is Super Bowl 40 memories. Also, you always tell stories about Buffalo. Buffalo is also an underrated town. I have lots of drinking memories in Buffalo. Do you know who I got drunk at a hotel bar with in Buffalo one time? Jim Boeheim's wife, who was a twin sister. You know Julie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know her.
Well, I got drunk. I think she had one glass of wine, but it was a fun night. I also one time got so hammered in Buffalo that I threw up in two countries at the same time. Like, you remember before 9/11, you could just kind of walk across the border?
Yes,
there was
I
a
did
little
it many
marker
times.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to some club somewhere in Buffalo, and I hurled from Canada into the U.S. across the little border thing in the sidewalk.
Again, how am I going to top that one? I will tell you a quick story about Ron Cook's prom date. We just talked about this on the radio. One year, her name was Gretchen, and after a date with Ron, he dropped her off at her house, and she started puking on the front porch. So she goes down in history as Gretchen. What a bad night for Ron, too, wasn't it?
How come Ron probably dated that girl 40 years, he never came up with that nickname, and it just jumped right in your head right away on live radio? That had to piss him off.
Not as much as what happened the actual night, I'm sure, but yes.
By the way, have you gotten around to being able to reference your column in the Trib yet, or do you still call it the Post-Gazette on the air every time?
I've done that 3 times.
Oh, I only heard 2. There was a third time?
Yeah. It's understandable. I was there for 10 years. I can't help it. Plus, my column at the Trib now has 18 names, and they still don't have a banner on it. One day it's called Stark Raving. The next day it's called Nothing. The next day the short one's a Cup of Joe.
I do see the Cup of Joe all the time.
Yeah. I want it to be stripped across the top, me with a cup of coffee and a nice cartoonish like headline, because it's just a quick hot take. We got to
be decaf though.
Yeah. Can you help me do that?
No, I can't. I don't know how to do any of that crap.
Well, I know you can't do the actual graphic, but you can ask the people who do the graphic.
Chris is in charge. Chris is running it right now. He can help you out. You guys can stay on and chat for a while when I'm done at
all right
6 minutes.
Let's do that. Thank you.
What's your Trib treat for us today?
These potato chips right here. And I wanted to talk to you.
What are you doing? A Super Bowl Radio Row read right now? You're stopping by with twisted tea like Cam Hayward on the Jim Rome show?
I have a case of potato chips that I'm balancing my computer on today so it doesn't shake like last week. And I want you to know that these are spectacular. And I first want you to guess how many calories is in one of these bags. Wrong, 160.
I was going to say 250.
And then I wanted to ask you about your favorite potato chips ever. And mine in order go
Pringles.
I was just going to say that. Pringles 1. The sour cream cheddar Ruffles.
Yeah, very good.
Incredible. Number 2. And then those Cape Cod things that create the illusion that they're actually sliced potatoes and they're very fresh. Like you just got somebody 10 minutes ago just sliced up a potato and put it in the fryer and you got the bag right now. Those are very good. Those are my top 3.
I go red Pringles.
Red
Maybe I might be on board with you with the sour cream and onion ruffles, and then I don't know about a third place. I'm much more of a pretzel guy than a potato chip guy.
I'll tell you low key what are very good. Munchos. Absolutely incredible.
Munchos?
You ever have those?
No.
You can eat a pound of them and it feels like you haven't eaten anything. They're made of nothing.
Jamie recently stumbled onto baked Cheetos, so they're not fried. So
I've had those. Yeah,
they're excellent from Trader Joe's.
Unbelievable. And every once in a while, we have cheese puffs in the office. This happened a month ago. I hadn't eaten a cheese puff since I was 4, but now I can't stop. What is it with a cheese puff?
I don't know, but I know this. We don't have a sponsor for this. We just gave away 4 free sponsorships in the span of 30 seconds there. Like national sponsors too, like Lay's. There should be some good money in this.
It's very bad for you, right? I mean, to eat these salted treats, but I can't stop. I just can't stop. I need the crunch of potato chips and Cheetos, cheese puffs, Doritos, all of this.
Super Bowl party, Friday free-for-all. Super Bowl party, Joe. Do you watch all by yourself, or do you like to watch the Super Bowl with others, including people who might not live in your immediate household?
Interesting that you should ask, and I'll tell you a little story yet again. You know, I grew up in Buffalo. I was a Bills season ticket holder, obsessed with the Bills. The greatest game I've ever been to was Bills 51, Raiders 3, the week after Bo Jackson got hurt. Here's the progression of the 4 Bills Super Bowl losses. The first against the Giants, I just moved to Pittsburgh in November of 89. Went back to Buffalo for a giant party, Mardi Gras at Ed Holyoke's house. And at the end of the game, we were all in a big circle, holding hands around each other's shoulders. And then we watched Scott Norwood's kick, which I'm still depressed about 50 years later, whatever it is. So we go from a giant Mardi Gras-like party. The second year, back in Pittsburgh, a very mild party. It was Bills against Washington, a horrifyingly terrible game. And maybe 20 people were at the Super Bowl party. The third Super Bowl, the first one against the Cowboys, a total blowout, remembered for Don Beebe chasing down Leon Lett. I was with my girlfriend, my sister, my brother, and his friends. So we're down to 4. And then by the 4th year, Tim, I was alone in a darkened room, like the last scene in Leaving Las Vegas, in my little tiny efficiency apartment in Shadyside on South Aiken Avenue.
With Elizabeth Shue?
Watching on a black and white TV that was as big as the screens that you and I are on right now, knowing what was going to happen, knowing that even though the Bills led at the half, horrible things were going to happen in the second half, and they did. And I was basically, was it Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas? Yeah. It was the last scene of that. A dark, sad apartment on a black and white TV.
I remember, I'm more of usually get together with about 10 people. I do remember for Super Bowl 30 when I was in college, everybody left the house and refused to watch it with me. My girlfriend in college watched it with me, and that was it, because no one could tolerate being around me for that game. It was probably wise based on what Larry Brown did. I just wrote about that. People want to see it too, flashing back to Super Bowl 30.
That was great. That was a great piece.
Larry Brown was fun. I've talked to Larry Brown and Francisco Cabrera and Glenn Healy 3 years in a row for the Cabrera anniversary, the David Volek anniversary, and Larry Brown. I talked to Glenn Healy, Larry Brown, and Francisco Cabrera, the 3 men who caused me the most sports nightmares in the 1990s. I talked to them each in consecutive years.
What, don't you have Dennis Gibson's number?
I tried to call him, and he didn't call me back. He's running a pizza place in Iowa somewhere now.
I know. And I'll one-up you on your story.
Because you talked to Dennis Gibson?
Yes, I did. I talked to Dennis Gibson. I tried to do an exorcism story a million years ago, so I talked to him.
Bobby Ross was awesome. Bobby Ross can remember every detail of that game.
David Volek, I think I talked to. Whoever had tortured Pittsburgh sport. Barry Goheen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was fun. It was real fun. What's your favorite low-key Steelers Super Bowl moment? Like other than the obvious ones. Like a low-key moment.
Ike getting interception and not dropping it.
It's one of the biggest plays in Steelers history, and nobody ever talks about it.
Yes, Ike getting an interception and not dropping it. I think he caught it at like the 6-yard line or something like that. That was a huge play.
That was a very losable game.
Sure,
right?
Yes, it was. We got to get some comments here, Morty, before we go.
I don't want to go. I want to go longer today.
All right, you can go as long as you want. You can read as many
By
comments.
myself? What?
This is from Sports Sharp, who says Hextall chasing down Recky is one of my all-time favorite memories. Except it wasn't Recky; it was Rob Brown.
Talk about a low-key moment. It didn't happen.
I remember a guy. I can't remember if he called your show or if he called the afternoon show. Some guy called up and said my favorite sports memory was Super Bowl I between the Packers and Cowboys. I heard that this week.
Who was the MVP of Super Bowl I?
Star.
Wrong. Max McGee.
No, Max. He didn't win the MVP, did he? I thought
Yes.
Star won the MVP.
No, he didn't. I'll look it up right now while you're doing your next thing.
My next.
And by the way, he was drunk the night before.
That I know. That I heard. Yes. Darren says, sadly, I recall Avery Schreiber in those Doritos commercials, Joe. What was the name of the girl? I can't remember the name of the girl who was in the Doritos commercial. I can't believe we found it. There he is. Did you see him?
Wait, it was Bart Starr.
Yes, he was Bart Starr. Max McGee had a big game. And was that Super Bowl I or was that Super Bowl II?
Super Bowl I.
Okay. All right.
First of all, second of all here, Ben should have been the MVP of the Cardinals Super Bowl. Every other quarterback in history would have been the MVP of that game, but because of the stuff his off the field issues, I'm convinced that's why he didn't get it. If that same game transpires any other time in Super Bowl history with any other cast of characters, the quarterback gets the MVP. Do you agree?
Yes. Yes, I do. And by the way, Ben, Bell, AB, all up for the Hall of Fame next year as first-time guys. You think any of the three of them get in? All three of them get in?
Ben gets in on the first ballot, as he should.
I think Ben probably gets in, although I'm not sure about anything anymore with the Hall of Fame. The other two do not. Bell shouldn't. AB should. But if we're in the era of punishing people, AB is going to have to serve some time, perhaps literally. So I don't think he gets in on the first ballot as much as he deserves it.
You answered your own question. In fact, you asked it of me and then answered it yourself.
I'm trying to one-up you. Fran says Rod Woodson coming back from the ACL seems to be forgotten. Lower ratings for important things, but that was impressive. I do remember when he got up and broke up the pass in front of Michael Irvin and started pointing at his knee.
That was some serious drama.
Yeah.
That's a great low-key moment right there, because that would be remembered far differently and far more often if the Steelers win that game. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Le'Veon Bell, by the way, just to answer your question, he ruined his own career. He was a Hall of Fame talent. I don't know how many better two-way running backs I've ever seen in my life. The dude was a wide receiver and a running back and wanted to be paid that way, by the way, and just ruined his career. Like, it's so sad. Obviously, AB ruined his. There's not supposed to be a morals clause in the Hall of Fame, but Gary Myers, one of the voters, revealed to me that behind the scenes, they have told voters they can hold things against players about, how they were in the locker room and things like that. And quitting your team is going to be held against Antonio Brown, even though it should just be about numbers.
Let's get to a couple more. Gary Burrito says,
don't seem impressed by that soliloquy.
I do like that soliloquy.
What is going on today? You're too business-like today. You're moving on.
I'm not
to the
being
next segment.
I was talking about puking in Buffalo, for God's sakes. I don't know how that's business.
Are you in a hurry?
I'm trying to get you out of here soon, because I know what's going to happen. You're going to be walking up Green Tree Road. You're going to be late to your own show, and you're going to get on, and Limits is going to be trying to tap dance to stall for time with Donnie Football. You're going to walk in at 9:25, and you're going to blame me on your station, and then we're not going to be allowed to do this anymore.
No, today I have time. I'm not walking. I'm not going to Monroeville. I'm enjoying the conversation, except when you're answering questions that you asked of me. Let's keep going.
Gary Burrito says barbecue sauce for chip dip is often overlooked as a viable snack. I don't know what I like more, that comment or that photo.
Yeah. Is
barbecue sauce for chip dip is often overlooked as a viable snack. I mean, like, if it's there for chicken nuggets, sure. I mean, you can get barbecue sauce potato chips. I don't think about barbecue sauce and regular chips too often. That
It
feels
sounds
like a
like
lot.
he's swilling barbecue sauce. He's talking about the sauce itself and drinking it. What's he talking about?
I think he's talking about dipping chips in barbecue sauce, which seems like you
Okay.
can just skip the next step by just going out and getting barbecue sauce chips. That seems to be easier to me.
All right.
But Gary
I'll
Burrito
accept
also
that.
asks, despite them losing the game, I love the onside kick by the Steelers in Super Bowl 30.
Legendary moment. What did he say? What was the phrase he said, Tim?
Bobby April comes walking by him and he says, "Surprise onside, Chan."
Surprise onside, Chan. He was talking to Chan. Surprise onside. It's again, like the Woodson thing. That would be remembered more legendarily in Super Bowl history if the Steelers win that game. That's just how it goes.
Paul says, I will always remember Chris Berman from SportsCenter when he said, no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. How many Super Bowl opportunities? No rings yet. Maybe, just maybe, next season will be the Steelers' year. Speaking of missed field goals, I looked this up by accident. I was just, because I do every year a Super Bowl prop bets thing that I post online. I posted it online today at Trib Live.
Yeah.
If you bet on a doink field goal, it's plus 700. Now, I know Norwood wasn't a doink field goal, but if you hit the upright and you bet yes on a doink field goal, it's 100 to win 700. That's good money, Morty.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind betting on that. It seems like that's happened, I don't know, just anecdotally more often this year. I've seen a million of them. I saw 2 of them in the playoffs, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Now you have to answer this question so I can look up who the Doritos girl is, and then we'll go. When Bilesma
I don't want to go. I want to stay more.
When Bilesma took over for Terry and the Penguins were 35-1 to win the cup, and they went on to one of the best runs in history. I guess I forgot about, how bad they were when they fired Terry and they let Bilesma take over.
What's the point of this?
I don't know.
Where did that come from?
It went, because we were talking about the comeback of the Penguins in 2009.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wish you had bet that. You'd be a rich man right now.
You'd also bet on a Super Bowl doink for a field goal.
Wouldn't be stuck on this show with me that won't end. I want to keep going. Why don't you? That's my question. You have things to do, and you're trying to hide.
Allie Landry was the name of the Doritos girl.
What was her name?
Allie Landry.
Yeah. Great commercials.
Yeah. Great actress. Fabulous. Not as good as Elizabeth Shue in Leaving Las Vegas, though. I think she actually did win an award for that, didn't she? I think she at least got nominated for an Academy Award for Leaving Las Vegas.
What's your favorite movie of all time? Mine is Almost Famous, tied with The Sound of Music.
I'm going to give you a hot take that you're going to hate, and a lot of people will hate this. I've always found Almost Famous to be a little overrated.
What?
Yeah, I've always thought Almost Famous was a little overrated.
That hurts, and I no longer want to do this show with you. What's yours?
My favorite movie of all time?
Yeah.
Probably Inglourious Bastards.
That's a good one.
True Romance, but for a long time it was True Romance, which was written by Tarantino, but not directed by Tarantino. But I loved. Did you ever see True Romance?
Oh, yeah.
That's a great movie.
How about your favorite low-key sports movie of all time? Mine is Air Bud. It was a great movie.
Low-key sports movies. So you're like not The Natural or Miracle or anything like that, you're saying, right?
Right.
Not an obvious one?
Exactly. Yes. That's low-key.
Varsity Blues, does Varsity Blues count?
Varsity Blues is a good call.
How about Allie Larder is basically playing the character that she grew up to be in Varsity Blues and Landman now. Do you watch Landman?
No.
Landman, if Allie Larder played a sequel to herself in Varsity Blues, she'd be her character in Landman, which is a good show. I like
They never should have made a sequel to The Longest Yard. I thought that was outrageous.
No, that was bad. Chris wants to know, where's the love for The Sandlot? My wife loves The Sandlot.
I think that's an overrated movie. And I watched it again recently. I think it's a little overrated. It gets annoying. They keep wanting to get the ball from the dog. It's like watching Tom and Jerry from a long time ago. The same thing keeps happening, and I don't want to watch it anymore. However, there are some poignant moments. Do you like The Field of Dreams? Malsey hates it.
It doesn't hold up that well. I liked it when I first saw it. I liked it in the 90s. It feels schmaltzy now. But that's probably because everything is copied off of Field of Dreams. Like, the whole father-son thing. It's been parodied so many times. You can't – it's like listening to Stairway to Heaven. You can't hear Stairway to Heaven for the first time anymore. You can't –
everybody ruined the movie for me because they talked about how annoying the wife is in Field of Dreams. And so the last 2 times I watched it, then she suddenly, after liking her all these years – is annoying me, and I can't watch the movie. Everybody ruined it for me. Her laugh, the way she talks, everybody's ruined that movie forever.
Have you ever actually dated somebody who was your girlfriend that somebody told you, she annoys me, and then she started to annoy you?
Well, yeah, I think that was a Seinfeld episode, honestly.
Oh,
yes,
you're right.
It's things you don't know about, don't notice about people. Yes, that other people then point out, and then you can't get it out.
Oh, you know what? We'll end on this, Joe, because now I really have to go.
I want to keep going.
Gary Burrito says low-key sports movie, Naked Gun. That should count as a sports movie.
Completely a sports movie. Yes.
At the end, the last 25 minutes of it are a baseball game.
Is Gary Burrito the only guy listening to the show?
Gary's just the most active. I had a whole bunch that I had loaded up and ready to go. All right, we'll end on this.
I don't want to end yet. I want the show to keep going.
Here's one you're going to love, Joe. All right.
What?
It's an email I got.
Okay.
Frank, he said, because we were talking about recycling Mike McCarthy. He said, yes, the Steelers did not interview the last 2 named members of Sean McVay's Cool Dude Club in person, but at least this time, nobody else has stepped up and hired either of them. There must be a reason for that. And then he added, you guys, the trip are recycling with Joe Starkey. Why don't you give a young up-and-coming writer like Justin Guerrero a chance to be a columnist?
He might have a point there. Bring him in. Let's go.
Said that to Justin. I haven't heard back from him yet. I think he's coming for your job now.
That hurts. We're going to end with that note. Somebody wants to kick me out.
No, let's get to. Oh, this guy says T.O. playing on a broken leg for the Eagles was also an impressive Super Bowl memory. How about Lindsey Vonn skiing on at a torn ACL?
Or Jack Youngblood playing with a broken leg, although it wasn't a Super Bowl. Josh Miller played in the T.O. Super Bowl. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Well, yeah, I guess something happened in that game with the punt. Didn't it? Did he get it blocked or something?
No, he punted from his own end zone late in the game.
That's what it was.
Belichick told him, just get it up, get it out. Just get it and get it out. That's all I care about. And Josh had a very clutch punt in that game.
That's what it was, yeah. No, it's something good that happened with Josh. That's right.
Yeah. Who has the only perfect passer rating in Steelers history?
In a Super Bowl?
No, just in Steelers history.
Mark Malone.
Wrong. Josh Miller. 158.3. He threw a touchdown, like an 80-yard touchdown to Chris Hope against the Ravens.
Oh, you're talking about, okay. Well, Mark Malone went on to be a quarterback. I was thinking about like the trick play when he was a wide receiver and he threw the touchdown pass to Bradshaw.
No, if you look at passer rating all time for the Steelers, Josh Miller's number 1 at 158.3. You're cranky today. I can tell. You know why? Because you do too many things.
I'm not cranky.
Yes, you are. And
how was I cranky? I felt like I was in a great mood all day.
I can tell.
Jamie just walked in. She's pointing at me. She's agreeing with you.
You're too busy. You don't get enough sleep. And when we're sleep deprived, we get cranky.
You're the one that woke up today and said that you look like a mole. So, like, I don't know how I'm the cranky one that doesn't get enough sleep.
The way we look is different from our moods. And you, my friend, do too many things. I turn on Sportsnet or whatever it's called these days. You're interviewing Duquesne coaches. I turn on the Penguin game. You're in the locker room interviewing players. I open the Trib, and there you are at 6 a.m. doing, whatever. What's your thing called?
Breakfast with Benz.
Breakfast with Benz. You're writing columns.
You don't know which paper you work for yet. I'm not expecting you to know the names of the
You're doing this. And you're not sleeping enough, and I also suspect you're not eating right.
Well, not as no, because we just rattled through how many potato chips I like. So I'm not dipping them in excess barbecue sauce like Gary Burrito, at least.
Well, I hope you have a good day.
Sports Sharp says Starkey calling anyone cranky is hysterical. Better keep this same energy for the show with cardboard pomp. You get Donnie football today, though, right?
Yes, and it'll be me, Donnie, and then Pomp's mannequin in that chair. And
Limits should talk behind the pomp mannequin. Is what should happen.
did you hear the guy yesterday yelling at me and Bob for
No.
being mean to City Limits? Who gives it out as good as he gets it? I mean, I don't feel bad at all for busting his chops. It's a locker room environment. Yet we had some guy call in and scold us. I have to go. Now you're keeping me from my show. I've got to
Okay, so
eat.
now I'm keeping you. I knew this is how it would go down. All right, start your walk up Green Tree Road. We'll be back next week. We'll recap the Super Bowl, and maybe we'll start talking about spring training or the Olympics or something else like that. Have a good day, Joe.
Oh, maybe we'll talk about the Pirates being aggressively pursuing a $500 million player.
Getting an A- from Jim Bowden to finish in 4th place. That was, I mean, I needed some curves to be graded on a couple times in my life, but that's ridiculous.
They're aggressively pursuing Ohtani, according to Ken Rosenthal. So we'll keep tabs on that one for next week. Goodbye, Tim.
I'm beyond the bylines after we get canceled because Starkey's late for his own show. We'll see you.